My name is Reverend Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I want to thank you for being here today, you brave ones. Thank you for coming out in this wind this morning. If you're not here in Albuquerque, you'll end up noticing that at some point there'll be leaves flying and all kinds of things happening because we've got some gusts happening here. And we got so lucky all summer. We had such beautiful weather on Sunday mornings, so it was bound to happen that we got some weather. And so I'm grateful that you chose to be here today. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for bundling up. We're all in this together out here, and it feels so good to gather this morning. Because I don't know about you, but I've been feeling a lot of heaviness this week, and feeling a lot of grief. And a lot of, obviously, so many of us are are experiencing loss on a lot of different levels. And so this time of year, I usually talk about the fact that, one of the things about spirituality is that the deeper we go in it, we find that there's more and more places for us to practice in deeper ways. And so I've been finding myself deeper in my practice this week around gratitude and what gratitude can give us, especially in this really challenging times. So that's what today is about. But I also, this time of year, generally like to make the joke that one of the brilliant things also about spirituality that happens is that all you have to do is think you've gotten enlightened or that you're evolving, and all you need to do is go and spend a little time with your family to see that that's obviously not true. And hopefully we're not preparing for that this week, but I also know that there's a lot of loss around that as well for a lot of people, not to have that opportunity to gather and family and have all of those boundaries tested and get to find out where we really need to evolve and change. And so as we find ourselves here together this morning, though, I'm just honoring this space of gathering, this space of finding community and connection, and our capacity to find gratitude in even the most challenging of circumstances. And so I'm going to anchor us in some prayer this morning. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, I'm just going to invite you to bring yourself present to what it feels like to recognize that the winds of change are blowing. That all around us and through us, Spirit is moving, evolving, deepening, and creating space for what is next. And I just recognize the power and the presence of the One making itself available to us as we find deeper meaning and deeper connection by looking inside. And so I take my gaze inside. And I find that deeper place of peace. The calm in the storm. From which deeper love and deeper wisdom arise. And I just know that we pour that out to this community today over everyone and anyone who is grieving, experiencing loss, and fear. I know that there is more than enough love to give and to give freely, and so I just pour it out. I let the wind scatter it and take it wherever it needs to go today. And I just lean in. And I let it be. And so it is. Trying to keep everything from blowing away this morning is going to be a challenge. So here we are. I've chosen this morning as a poem to lead us into our meditation this morning that is fortuitously called Winds of Change. A Rumi poem that is quite short, so I'm going to read it twice so we get the full feeling. Keep walking, though there's no place to get to. Don't try to see through the distances. That's not for human beings. Move within, but don't move the way fear makes you move. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Today, like every other day, don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Take down a musical instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. Keep walking, though there's no place to get to. Don't try to keep and see through the distances. That's not for human beings. Move within, but don't move the way fear makes you move. Today, like every other day, we wake up empty and frightened. Don't open the door to the study and begin reading. Instead, take down an instrument. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. And so we just take that energy and that love, and we allow the meditation to move us today.
dance tune called Winds of Change. And here's a tune by Thelonious Monk. Did I get all my clips together? You ready, gentlemen? Yep. One, two, three, go. Thank you.
So, like many of you, I've been spending time recently thinking about gratitude as we prepare for this holiday coming up and just this season in which there's opportunities for reflection on this topic, and realizing that it was harder for me to find that place of gratitude this year than it's been in the past. And I really started to think about that because, in a lot of ways, there's so much going on that it's requiring, I believe, all of us to take a deeper look at all of our practices, all of the things we do in the world, and look at how all of that works and whether it's working right now, and to take a deeper look and then honestly a deeper practice in our walk with Spirit and our deeper walk with the love that sent us here. And I was reflecting back because I remember in March feeling and sensing that there was going to be a lot of loss this year, and that we were collectively going to be grieving a lot before we got to the other side of this. But I don't think I really viscerally understood the full extent of that. And I'm starting to feel into that now, what it means that so many of our fellows people walking this planet are leaving right now, and that there's this whole bizarre set of experiences that are conflated with all of this, in which there's all kinds of people who are denying the very existence of the thing that is taking people away, and people are refusing to do the very easy and simple things to do to protect themselves and other people. And it's just this sense of like, how does any of this make sense? And it's hard in that I've been to find that gratitude, to find gratitude for this experience, or for basically just like, what does it even mean to be a human, right? Like, how does this make any sense, that this is how we are with one another? How is this okay? Because for me, it's not. It's not okay that we care for one another in this way or not in this way. And so I came back again to this quote that I often find myself referring to when I'm not able to find that place inside of myself that I know is there, right? That's that space of center that I know is there. And this is a quote from Wei Wu Wei, who was a 20th century British philosopher who took the name Wei Wu Wei. And what he says is this: why are you unhappy? Because 99.9% of everything you think and everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. I'm going to do that again. Why are you unhappy? Because 99% of everything you think and of everything you do is for yourself, and there isn't one. And this is that place inside of me when I get there, where I realize that bigger gratitude that I'm looking for comes from the place of knowing that there is nothing that differentiates me from you. That your love is my love, and my love is your love, and your health is my health, and that really that place, when I can find it, is the place where all of the power and all of the love and the joy that I could ever want to experience comes from. And so I think that's one of the reasons it's been so painful to watch this collective bizarre thing we're doing in this country around COVID, because obviously people are forgetting that there isn't one, right? That yourself is not how it works. And so there's this sense in which we're being pulled, I believe, into this space where we're having to acknowledge how connected we are. And in some ways that's a beautiful but also painful thing to be pulled into during these strange times. And so I start to think about this sense of how do we take this practice deeper then, so that I can remember that there isn't something inside of myself, that is me, that needs my attention in the way that I've been giving it. And how can I allow for myself to get into this experience in which I acknowledge the very preciousness of this experience, even if it doesn't look or feel the way I think it should. And I keep going back to this interview I heard from Brother David Stendal-Rost many years ago. So some of you are familiar with Brother David Stendal-Rost. He's a Benedictine monk who was a teenager in Austria during the Nazi invasion. And so he was coming of age in a time where bombs were constantly being dropped. And there was very much this sense in which there was no taking for granted the next moment. And a lot of what he turned into or turned into teaching has to do with gratitude. And he says it was really formative to have grown up in that experience in which he wasn't able to take for granted the next day. And I feel a little bit like we're all kind of in that right now. Some of us to a greater extent than others, but we're all in this kind of place where we're being asked not to take for granted the next week or the next month or that next experience. And so what he says is that you can't be grateful for war in a given situation, or violence, or domestic violence, or sickness, but there are many things in which you cannot be. There are many things you cannot be grateful for, he says, but in every moment you can be grateful. And I've been walking a deeper walk with this because there's a lot of teachers in New Thought who would tell you that what you do or what happens with gratitude is it kind of erases all the other things. Like you should somehow be able to find gratitude for whatever it is, even if it is, like he says, domestic violence or a war, like that you're somehow, that the spiritual path is about doing that. But the work of Brother David is about being what I would call a full human being, which is the full human being is able to feel grateful while feeling grief and loss and pain and fear, like that they're not mutually exclusive. And so I know in the past I found them in my notes this week again, these quotes that say, if you're feeling grateful, then you cannot feel fear. They can't exist in the same space. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit. And I think that this deeper walk that we're taking is one in which we're being asked to realize that as full human beings that we can, even in the midst of our grief and our loss and our fear and our pain and the unknown, also access gratitude. And I've been feeling it kind of like gratitude holds this the images in my head, so it's kind of hard to articulate right now, but it's kind of like it holds it. And gratitude creates a space that can hold all of that and start to give it some space so that it doesn't have to feel all encompassing. And gratitude has the power to do that. And so what Brother Stendal-Rost talked about in this interview was his 3 steps of attention around gratitude and what that meant to him. And I want to share them with you because I think that it's a helpful way to access gratitude, but also a helpful way to stop maybe some of that repetitive or chronic thinking that comes up, especially when we get into those spaces where we're feeling all of the things that we feel as human beings. So the first step, he says, is to stop. And this step is about stepping away from the movement of the world and of our mind and realizing that we have to slow down enough to be able to start to pay attention. And I think that this is interesting during this time where so many things are paused, to notice that in a lot of ways, a lot of things haven't stopped, right? So if we start to think about the way our minds work or watching that, it's like even if a lot of the things outside of us have stopped working the way they used to, doesn't mean we're not still just going at the same pace that we were going. And one of the commands of gratitude is to stop. So what David Stendal-Ross said, it was most of us are caught up in schedules and deadlines and rushing around. And so the first thing is that we have to stop, because otherwise there's not really coming into the present moment at all. And we can't even appreciate the moment that has been given to us because we rush by it and it rushes by us. And I think about that especially in times of pause or slow down, because it's so clear that there's, even in the midst of that, this tendency to rush by what's happening. In fact, I don't know how many times I've heard myself talk about what's going to look like on the other side of this, right? Like there's this rush by what we're experiencing instead of realizing that this present moment has a potency and has ability for us to actually appreciate what's here and the sacredness and preciousness of that. So the second step that he talks about is something he calls looking, which I would call attention. It doesn't really matter, but what he says is look means to access and behold the situation in front of us. And so it's so interesting that we have to stop to be able to do that, right? And I think about it sometimes, the way we go to a new place. I watch people a lot because we have our Airbnb guests pull up every afternoon, and our address is on one street, but the parking is on another street. And we've given them very, very clear instructions, but no one reads, if you know this about people. And so they get here, and you can watch, you can see people start to slow down, and you can see them turn down the radio, and you can see them, what it means to have to stop so that we can pay attention, so that we can notice, so that we can see what we need to see. And it's so fascinating to watch that happen over and over the course of a day, because we have 3 guests and they arrive at different times, and how different it is for different people to do that. And we all have our unique way of doing that, but there's this sense in which we get to pay attention when we're looking to what opportunity this moment has given us that wasn't there in any other moment. So Brother David Stendal says, what is the opportunity of this given moment? Only this moment, and the unique opportunity this moment gives me. And so you'll hear me often talk about this moment that never existed before and will never exist again. I use that during meditations and prayers because it gives me access to that place where I recognize that this moment is different, that there's something in this moment that didn't exist anywhere else, because I'm different, because the world is different, because this moment is new. And there's a space in which when we start to pay attention from that perspective, there's room for a deeper sense of gratitude. Because in the midst of anything, we can find that space. So then what he says is the last step, so stop, look. And then the last step is to go. And I love that he adds this step, because I think a lot of spiritual teachers stop and look. And what he means by go is that we get moved by what is in front of us, by that preciousness, by what we notice when we are aware of how sacred it is to have this precious moment that never existed before and will never exist again. Like that, from that place that we actually get moved, and we have to follow that. And so go means to practice from, if we really see what the opportunity is, we must, of course, not stop there, but we must do something with it. Go and avail ourselves with that opportunity. And so I love that this experience of paying attention then leads us into action, leads us into being moved in whatever way that is, in whatever unique way that is to us and to what moves us. And I just have this deep appreciation for this sense in which we are able to then practice gratitude on a whole nother level. Because we're really paying attention to what's in front of us, not what we wish was in front of us or what we would hope was in front of us, but we are actually present to what's right here. So I often think about the fact that when we talk about what we're grateful for, we often limit it to the things that feel like they prop up our sense of how we wish things would be. You know, we talk about gratitude for for these things, and we're not grateful for these other things. And so this deeper practice, though, is kind of rewriting all of that. And is it in a recognition that there's the capacity inside of us to find this deep place of sacredness and attention, if we're willing to stop long enough to experience the preciousness of this moment and to not take for granted that the next moment will be given. And I just know that this is one of the practices of impermanence. Being here on this planet is getting really comfortable with that. But we often, I think, still, and even if we get comfortable with it, we still take things for granted. And so I've been in this practice, since March of noticing the things that could be let go of, that needed to be let go of, and the things that I want to call back. And this experience of all of that being part of this deeper refocusing that we're getting to experience together. And I know so many people who are having these deep conversations as families and in relationship to one another about how it is that the world could really look if we allow ourselves to stop and look and go. And to find purpose in that way. And so I'm feeling a lot of a deeper sense of gratitude for what's right in front of me, whether it's a windy day or a challenge or something that feels like a constriction or something that feels like I wish it were some other way, and the sense in which how can we allow ourselves a deeper walk so that gratitude place inside of us can hold the space for all of the other things that we're feeling. So I just want to reiterate that I think as spiritual beings that we've been done a disservice by the people who have taught us that we're not supposed to experience pain or fear or question or doubt, that we've been done a deep disservice by spiritual teachings that say that we get to some point in our evolution and that we then stop experiencing those things. Because I believe that the opposite is in fact true, that the deeper we walk this path of caring for one another as if we are one, the more we feel. And the more we feel the pain, and the more we feel the grief, and the more we feel all of it. And in fact, that is a sign that we are deepening in our practice, that we are feeling more. But what I also recognize is that it's a disservice to tell ourselves that we can't at the same time feel gratitude in the midst of all of that, or feel deep love. And we're much more multidimensional beings than we've given ourselves credit for, or some spiritual teachers have told us. We have the capacity to hold the multitudes inside of us. We have that, all of that. And so as we welcome ourselves into being, to recognizing ourselves as whole human beings that have the capacity to experience it all at the same time, that means that we have to give ourselves the space to acknowledge and to feel that, and the space that gratitude creates in all of that. Once again, is just like that, for me, just like that embrace, that holding all of the rest of it, so that somehow it starts to make a little bit of sense. And I'm not fully to this whole thing we're doing right now makes sense, because I don't think it does. I think we're all bonkers. But there's this sense in which gratitude and finding that space of attention to this opportunity that we are given in each moment to be present, that there's this container that's created that starts to give it some room to not feel so overwhelming. And so once again, I'm going to keep telling you, if you are making anything in your life work right now, congratulations, great job. Hallelujah, you're amazing. And I know everyone's making at least something work. So good job. And this is not the time for everything to look complete. This is not the time for it to make sense. But that doesn't mean that we cannot find gratitude at the same time. And so I'm just so deeply grateful for all of you for joining us here today. I'm going to ask the band to come up, because we're going to prepare for some prayer through song. And as we do that, I'm just going to invite you to maybe, I don't know, I'm feeling the need to kind of find some deeper breath and a deeper place inside that's calling for some attention. And maybe there's something specific that comes to mind where there's some room where some love could be poured over. And we're going to see if prayer and gratitude creates some space. So please join me as we sing into our prayer.
A prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, sets us.
So our prayer of love today is a prayer of recognizing ourselves as whole human beings who have the capacity to feel joy and grief and fear and gratitude all mixed up together, all at the same time. And I just recognize that Spirit very clearly knows how to hold this space inside of us for the fullness of our beings. And so we allow ourselves to feel and to bring attention to this sacred and precious opportunity that we've been given to be here and alive on this planet at this time, with all of that which is asking for us to focus and bring our attention to it, so that we may be moved from a deeper place, so that we may be moved by love and vision and wisdom, so that we may be moved by that space that remembers that we belong to one another, that in fact that we are one. And I just know that Spirit is guiding us in and through this time. And I find deep gratitude to have this opportunity to bear sacred witness to not only my own transformation, but the transformation and the deepening that is happening everywhere. And I just know the Spirit is right there with us in the midst of all of it. That love is present. That peace is present. And I just let go into that. I let that be the container that can hold my grief. I just let go. Like the falling leaves. And I let it be. And so it is.
Our prayer, it lifts us high, it heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high, it heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high, it heals us, sustains us, and sets us free.
am grateful for that. Yay. So just want to express my gratitude for all of the ways that this community continues to be supported. Thank you for watching online. Thank you for being here in person. We have baskets in the trees that have not blown away. So if you'd like to make a contribution here in person, you can do it there or on our website, onespiritualcenter.org. We really appreciate all of that, which allows us to keep doing what we're doing. And also just all the creativity that it takes to figure out how to keep going as we keep on pivoting and changing. So thank you for your willingness to be here. And, you know, it'll probably get warmer, and then it'll get colder, and then it'll get windy, and, you know, we'll have the fullness of being alive and human here. So thank you for being here. I do have an announcement that I did hear back from Roadrunner Food Bank, and we will not be there this week. So next month we will resume in December. So if you're here, then I don't have to send you an email. So Dottie knows. Okay, sounds good. Yes. So happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for being here. Please reach out if there's anything we can do to help you, whether you're watching online or here. We're here. And thank you. So I believe we're ready to sing. And we have one last blessing to sing to one another.